Hi everyone, I'm Adrian from Audio Excellence. That's Jay and Philip over there. Hope you and yours are doing well. Today I thought we'd cover a topic that I haven't seen on YouTube before. It's called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly about our industry. I was thinking about, during the shutdown, some of the things that I was really impressed by, and our clients who just rallied around us and supported us through the lockdown. And so that sort of led to this topic. Because I was being so grateful, I started thinking, well, what else could we do? What are the good and what are the bad and the ugly? And of course, this is an homage to the famous movie of the 60s. I guess it was the 60s, huh? Clint Eastwood. Anyway, Jay, why don't you start?
Okay. The good. The good is obviously, pretty easier than the bad and the ugly. The good is that, well, obviously we do this because we like it, music, entertainment, audio, and, something I'm personally passionate about. So that's something that's good. The people around the industry, as well as the, people at shows and stuff, they're all kind, and it's good to see different perspective. And, I think it's so awesome. Some people are kind of frustrated by it, but, cars or, gaming, it's like, when they say best, it's like best. But like in audio, there is like really no best. It's all preference based. It's highly subjective. So there's a lot of debate. Talk, and there's like almost endless, in my opinion, almost endless chance to learn about different things, because different people come from. It's like almost a culture based on where they come from. So that's what I really like about it. And obviously it can be really personal, right? When you're listening to music by yourself, and I believe most of us who got started in this, got it for in a very personal way, and then you can share as well. So it becomes like a group activity, or with your friends and stuff. So it's highly diversified than we think or take granted for. So that's what I like about it. Now the bad. I mean, that's 1 second.
That many.
Bad. No, I just, it is extremely hard to meet financial ends, if you're in the business. And this is, not just for me, but especially like for almost everyone in the industry that I've met. I remember like meeting a lot of distributors and like people in the business. And naturally, as a young person who enters the industry, you want to learn about how you can succeed in the industry. And often than not, people that have been in this industry for a very long time do this out of passion, or, on the side, not essentially for, for, the main business, or even to make a lot of money. It's all about passion. And first of all, like when I got in here, like, shows, the time to set up shows and stuff takes a very long time. It's tedious. And I saw so much enthusiasm and so much work ethic from people around me, that I thought they must be making bank, right? They must be making a lot of money to do this so enthusiastically. I mean, I remember a time where a headphone or something was left in a car, and someone had to go grab it, and everyone volunteered to go. It was like, nobody sat down and went like, oh, I don't want to go. Like I was the only one. Like everyone got up.
Isn't that a good thing? It's not a bad thing.
Oh, it's true.
So that's where's the bad in that?
Where did the bad?
You were saying about making bank or not making enough money.
Yeah. So, okay. So again, people are great. So I think, in terms of financial flow and stuff like that, I think that's the bad. And I think that kind of reflects in some of the stuff that people are talking about. Now, I don't know how true this is. There's both sides of the debate, but, people talk about how prices for certain products are rising because there's not enough consumers, right? So, naturally, that's a natural thing that happens. That's unfortunate, but I guess that's the kind of the bad in a way. And the ugly would be, oh man, I can't remember.
Well, Jerry's not here, so I'm just kidding.
Okay.
What is the ugly?
Oh yeah. So obviously gear shaming, looking down on other people. This happens in like every industry, so I don't necessarily think. And this if it was any other industry, this would be categorized as the bad, not so much the ugly. like if you see like the gaming world, if you see like any photography or any other world, you can immediately tell like, there's a lot of gear shaming. So meaning like whatever you have is bad. Whatever
That's right.
I have is
so
good.
Jay, your gear is just crap.
Exactly that's what I think is ugly, because that, often because I'm young, a lot of people in the industry ask me, "Hey Jay, how can we get more people like you in the industry?" And I say, "Well, stop gear shaming them," right? Because I think that's detrimental. Because when you have,
does that really happen with?
It does.
Well, does it really happen with veterans towards young people, or as opposed to young versus young?
Well,
because I haven't seen any of that.
Well, I've seen quite a few, actually, every single day.
Veterans
Yep.
shaming young?
Yeah.
Really?
Not gonna name them, obviously, but it happens in the industry. And also, I'm talking to like the people that actually are enjoying, like, as consumers as well, right? So for example, like, in the YouTube world, we call it the know-it-all audiophiles. And they would like put down others depending on what they have, right? So if they have something very, very expensive, they're like respected right off the bat. If they have something that's just starting out, and they state, I'm just starting out, can you explain to me what a DAC is? And most people just laugh at them. You don't know what a DAC is, right?
Yeah, but how do you know the ages though? That's one of my points is, especially on a public forum like that.
Well, my demographic on YouTube is
no, but this is a legitimate question.
Yeah.
You don't know who's posting, right?
Well, we do know who's posting on like forums, for example, right? And you see that a lot on forums and Facebook as well. And are you implying like
what I'm trying to say is this? So maybe I'm judging based on what I would do versus certainly I've seen lots of harassment online. That's just par for the course. Unfortunately, bad behavior comes up when anonymity is par for the course. But as a general rule, I'd like to believe that at least in our industry, the older generation and certainly clients I know, if anything, are extremely supportive. I get emails all the time complimenting the store that we have Jay working here and he's so knowledgeable and he, that they're very glad to see him, etc. I've never seen any disparaging emails from anybody about you or anybody young. If anything, they always, when we have any kind of a conversation along these lines, they always say, I wish we could get and see more of the younger generation involved in our industry. That's why it was such a surprise for me to hear from you that you think that there's that kind of shaming coming from the older generation.
Here's a very good example that happened 2 days ago. So I'm not saying all, and obviously majority of the people out there are very supportive and they're in this because they're passionate, and they're nice people. But 2 days ago, and obviously this person has been commenting on my YouTube videos, almost every single YouTube video, and on my videos, he's generally nice, but he's like giving others advice on his experience, which I'm perfectly fine with, right? Don't have to listen to me. But my friend Tezzon, he posted a video, and he had like a pad, right? He was reviewing a headphone, and he had a pad, and he said, this is leather or pleather, not sure, check the website or something like that. So just because he did not know, that fact, right? This person took that one fact and said, this is why young and generally uneducated people should not review gear, right? So that kind of comment comes up like just 2 days ago, and there's much more. That's just the skin, right? So there's much more nastier comments out there, and not only towards me, but people getting in. Right. So, and I understand that, once you're.
But I guess my point is, how do you know the age of the person who's criticizing?
This is someone I know.
Okay.
This is someone I know.
So, but again, just, I'm not trying to be pedantic, right? I'm just pointing out simply that, 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 do not make up,
Yeah,
the majority.
of course.
And we have to be careful.
There's only 20 people in this hobby of
especially
ours.
In today's politically charged environment, that we need to step back sometimes and be aware that I really truly believe that the vast majority of people are good. And of course, you always will have internet warriors. You will always have that. But
you're always gonna insult inadvertently someone. I never go out of my way to do any of that stuff, and yet I get comments about it, and there's nothing.
Well, this is turning into a nightmare again, but
yeah, that's the ugly.
That's the ugly.
That's the thing. No, this doesn't happen often, but I literally had, remember that show where I was really sick?
Yeah.
I got even sicker because this person, and I hope he's not watching this because I'm going to talk about him, but he came up to me, right? And he started talking to me. In the beginning, he was like, oh, I'm a fan, and he started talking to me, and I thought, oh, cool, and I started talking to him. And a few minutes later, this turns into a debate, and then a few minutes later, he's basically, like insulting at this point. So, and this was an older gentleman, and he was basically saying, along the lines of, so the irony of this is that in the beginning, he was saying that he was a fan, he watches my videos. At the end of the chat, he was telling me that the only reason I don't watch you is because, you were young and inexperienced, and you should, go buy more gear and experience it for yourself. And I'm like, well, and that you shouldn't work in retail, but actually own the gear at your home because blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, well, if I had the money to do that and own all that gear, then, why would I be doing this? But anyways, so, it happens from time to time. And I think that's the ugly, at least from my side. I try to, I don't think about it too much. It doesn't sadden me as much because, like I said, it's not the majority of the people out there. And, and just some, there's always weird people in each industry everywhere you go. So that's not really like hard to believe. So, I mean, I think that's the ugly for me. So there you go.
All right.
Philip?
But it's mostly good. Right, Philip?
Let me think about that. So my take on it is obviously going to be a little bit different from yours.
And that's the beauty of it.
And it's a really good thing that you and I can have different opinions. That's a good thing about that too. And that characterizes the entire experience, is that each experience is unique. Each experience is worthwhile. Each experience is something of value. I mean, I am highly opinionated. You know that. I'm highly opinionated. No. Yes. No. But really? At the same time,
nobody knew that.
But at the same time, I do try and reach out to you in particular. Yeah. I do ask you for your unadulterated, honest, experience and opinion, as I ask Adrian and as I ask anybody who is an experienced, whether old or young, audiophile that comes into the store. Now, sometimes I'll shoot them down because, well, they're just wrong, in my opinion. Let's make that clear. In my opinion, so for me, the good of the retail experience is actually a bit more complicated than just that kind of value statement. The really good part of it is there is a certain feedback that makes it all worthwhile. So I have clients who come in, and whatever the experience level and whatever the confidence level to a certain degree, what's good is that I know that I can help them achieve something even more. So that's the thing that I really, really, really like. I can go to a client's house and, they're very happy. They're happier after they meet me and come through the store.
It's a gratifying.
There's a gratification, obviously. There's a feedback loop in that. when they express their happiness about the situation, it makes me a better person, and therefore I'm able to actually even give them more. So it just feeds back upon itself, and that's a very unique thing from a retail experience level. You often don't get that because you don't often get the feedback. You don't often develop lifelong relationships, and so I have clients who have started out with a phone call. And, I've been invited to their houses. They've offered me snacks. I've told them,
Sake.
Yes, there's been some of that. But in other words, it's an ongoing thing. It's evolving. And that is what is, that's life. That's really life. And so I didn't expect that from at this stage in, like of the 21st century, because everything is online. So from a brick and mortar standpoint, that's why we do it. Like you said, there's a passion about it, and that's why we do it. So that's the really good part. Almost everything falls into that category. If that didn't happen, it wouldn't be worthwhile. It didn't just be a job. It's not a job. We're here, and we can affect people's lives in a really positive way. There's no judgment. Not really. I mean, we laugh a little bit sometimes, but
not really.
Well, they have equipment that's very old, and they want to, or they desire to have something that is a bit more pleasing, then we can certainly help them direct them in the correct way.
I mean, connecting with others is a big part of audio. Right. And I think, what you do, right? And what we do is the deepest level of connection with clients, as cringy as that sounds, compared to any other people in the industry.
Because we have our supporters who do not necessarily financially benefit the store, but, I treat them all exactly the same way. Adrian's always very...
You're talking about the friends?
The friends of the store. Adrian's always extremely cheerful with them. I mean, it's an honest kind of response.
Here again? Go home.
Yeah. So you know who you are, Tom, Larry. Should I say a few more names?
To quote the great John Pinette.
Greg,
eat some vegetables.
Gregor comes by like once a week, or he called a couple times before he came back for the first time since the lockdown.
And he always brings us coffee.
And it's always welcome. And he comes, and he actually does spend a little money with us, and that's great. But mostly it's just the fact that he shows up and he has enthusiasm, and it makes the day go by a lot better.
Can I just say, when I began working here, I was shocked by that.
Really?
Yeah. Because people come in, and I was trying to ask, because I'm not used to it, right?
Oh,
I've never worked
okay.
in a store like this. So I was trying to ask, what brings you in? May I help you? And they said, come on, Jay. I'm always here. Like, what? Just stopping by. Huh? What do you mean? Like a friend's house? Like stopping by? But
So we have this one gentleman who's now retired. His name is Lewis. I'll leave it at that. But he's brought us he makes jerk chicken.
Oh my God,
and
so
jerk
good.
pork. So he would bring us stuff like that.
So good.
And that day the lunch was good.
Oh, so good.
Thank you, Lewis.
Thank you.
So the bad. I guess the bad is really the fact that it's so complicated, because mostly it's just good. And I the bad for me is so I was debating which was bad, which was ugly. So I'll say the bad is the bargaining. I hate the bargaining. In our industry, maybe Adrian has done okay because he's operated the store since '91, and in the heyday there was a lot of big deals. It's not like that anymore. And the bad is that people come in here, and I have 30 plus years of audiophile experience. I've been involved since I was, very, very young, and I can count, every experience. I can recount it. I can use it. And that's not an easy thing to get, to develop. And So people are coming in, and sometimes they're bargaining in really bad faith. It's the price is important, but they still want the gear, and they only want that gear. It's not like it could be any gear. A lot of the gear is really good, but when you mention to them, well, we're a retail operation. Adrian has to pay my salary. We have to make a little bit of money in order to keep the doors open. And here you are, you're devaluing our contribution and our ability to keep, everything in the right kind of fashion. And stores are failing all over, especially with the lockdown. We know of a couple different places that have since closed their doors.
Yeah,
and,
just in Canada alone. I was shocked to find out that the store downtown, 2 stores.
Well, Planet of Sound is no longer a brick and mortar operation.
And Filion in Montreal or Quebec. They've closed
right,
2
and even
stores.
Just down the street from us, Ricky.
Ricky closed before.
He did, but it probably cemented for him his decision, right?
Yeah.
So he's still operating, which is great, but he no longer has a physical location that is a retail operation in the same way that it has been. So it's very, very difficult. I mean, for us, we're a large operation. It's not a problem in the sense that we have a very big kind of clientele, or we have enough exposure. But when people come in, and who I'm talking about, there are these individuals. We discount to a certain degree. We try to be very fair about pricing, and part of what you're getting here is us, Jay, me, you, Adrian. That's not an easy thing to find.
I think that I think I know what you're talking about. The people that do it regardless of of their knowledge of doing so.
Mm-hmm.
So like what they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But most of the bargaining people that I've met, right? They have like no clue because like when I was not in the industry and I did not know how this whole thing even operated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember how I asked you?
Yep.
Who is Lily? And you said this distributor. I said what's a distributor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people don't know how this works.
Mm-hmm.
So some people don't understand that like I said, my second bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't need much financial ends,
mm-hmm.
and that you're actually taking away from their food, their ability to keep going.
Sure.
So I think that's the majority of the people. So that's good, but you're absolutely right. There are people that know it, but they do it anyways. Yeah.
We're not saying we're not flexible, but at a certain point, it doesn't become worthwhile to do it because all you're doing is trading dollars, and you're getting that kind of liquidity back, but then you have to reinvest it and bring in the next thing. People are always asking me, well, give me the demo and give me 25% off. Right? And I say, well, we have to actually use that money to buy a new piece to replace the demo. How does that work out for us? And they're like,
it's like the current model. Adrian's getting depressed. I saw
right.
him.
Well, you don't go into Holt Renfrew's, for instance, and look at $1,000 shirt on which there's a 50% markup and say, I'll give you 60 cents on the dollar for what you're asking. No one does that. All clothing has 50% markup. So who's doing that? You don't bargain. Why don't you bargain there? If you have a salesperson that you've dealt with forever, why aren't you getting, super great prices?
Try bargaining for Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, well, you don't get it. I mean, like they're going to say to you, and we say this too, it's very limited. If you don't buy this one, you might not get another chance. I tell people this sometimes.
I mean, if you say that in a Louis Vuitton store, then that's being very nice. They'll be like,
they'll laugh at you. So what
about the ugly?
Yeah, what's ugly?
The ugly.
Maybe that's the ugly. If that's just
that's bad, the bad in terms of the ugly. That's also ugly. So it's not just bad; it's also ugly.
With the eye of the tornado. Let's go.
I'm gonna get so many not so great comments
Seriously
about
bad
this.
comments now.
We may
Seriously?
have to disable the comment section.
Maybe. The ugly. I did have an ugly. See, you got me like this tangent of the bad is all encompasses kind of
Before
both.
this video started, you said, you're the good, and you're the bad, and I'm the ugly. So
You're probably the pretty.
okay.
So I would be the ugly.
Okay, only on video he will say this.
Okay, time's flying. So let me,
All right, Adrian, go ahead.
Let me take it over. For me, just like the guys were saying, good was very easy. Could come up with a lot of good, and maybe this just being aware. I've not always been like that, but certainly being more aware of my blessings in life, the good, getting to work with great guys, wonderful clients, the best people, I think, in the population, because these people want to actually be here and share in our passions and music. I'm constantly, discovering new music, because clients will choose new music on Tidal, and I'm going, oh, that's really cool, and save that. Even the way the store started. So originally, I had been thinking about going back and finishing, the master's engineering degree. And anyway, long story short, a client who became a friend said, you really should do this. You like it so much. I can see it from your passion. I said, yeah, I got no money. He says, I'll fund you. So he literally, again, long story short, went to the bank, opened up a $50,000 line of credit, and taught me how to run business, at least in the basics. And then that's how we started. This guy at the time really didn't know me at all. And the only thing he asked from me was that when you succeed, and that was the whole thing, not if, when you succeed, make sure you pay it forward. And thanks to him, I've been over the years been able to do that a few times. So, that's the kind of people that we meet, at least I do in the industry. Of course, get to play with toys, get to buy stuff for the collection, records, equipment. It's really not work. I think one of you guys mentioned, I don't know if it was.
No, it's definitely not work.
Definitely not work if you really love what you do. And I do. And the guys will tell you I'm often here at 4:00 in the morning. The bad. Sleep. Yeah, the bad. It was tougher for me to come up with the bad, but there's a few. Long hours, definitely. Because you're in retail, you have to make yourself available when clients have the time. And it also means that it's tough sometimes to take time off when everybody else is taking time off. For example, we work Saturdays and a lot of people don't. We take Mondays off, but lots of our friends have to work on Mondays. So it's a bit tough that way. And of course, the typical bugaboo in Canada, if Friday, was it Monday or Friday is a holiday, if it's Friday is a holiday, right, then you get a long weekend. So you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, right? We never get that. We have to work Saturday. And so we never get this long weekend thing. Very high inventory costs. If you want to run an audio store properly, you need to have enough display, not only of different brands, but also the breadth within the brand, and it can get very expensive. And of course, as a result, insurance is very, very high. Villa pointed out low margins. There is MSRP, but in today's world, it's very rare that you get MSRP. The only time you do is a product like Magnepan or Inuos or Hegel, because the margins are so low to begin with, and you don't really have an ability to discount. But as a general rule, after you discount, you barely make enough for a little bit of net profit, and the rest goes to maintaining the business. So it's tough, but we're not crying. We're just stating the fact. Most businesses today are running on typical similar issues as well. It's very competitive in the sense that it's not just competing against another store. It's competing against lifestyle choices as well. So a person that can buy really good audio equipment can also take a really nice vacation, buy a boat, buy another car, etc., etc. So it's very competitive. So we're not really complaining in any way, just basically stating some facts that you may or may not be aware of. And the truth is, I'm really grateful that even when sometimes we get frustrated and what's the word, sad, demoralized.
Yeah.
I try to remind myself we don't have it anywhere near as bad as my friends in the auto industry, where they get people coming in all the time wanting to test drive a car because it's the latest thing, but really have no interest or financial capability to get the car. They just want to test drive, but the dealer doesn't necessarily know that or can't, qualify, very specifically, and then with a car salesperson, their entire funds comes from selling a car. Most car salespeople don't get any kind of salary, and so all they have is their time. So if a person comes in wasting their time, that's the time they can't get back. So I'm grateful we don't generally have as much of that. The ugly. One came to my mind just yesterday when I met with a friend who's also a rep. In other words, he works for a distributor or a number of distributors. So the way our industry works is products come into Canada in many cases, and they are handled by distributors who then hire representatives to go all over Canada to dealers to try and sell the product. So my friend, he's a rep. And it's quite common where a rep who's good will set up a territory, do really well, distribute the product to a lot of the top dealers. And just as sales are really starting to take off, the distributor will fire the rep because the work's done. So, now the distributor mistakenly thinks he can just sit back and collect money and collect orders, and not have to pay the rep for his future earnings. And contractually, that's true, but ethically, I think that's very wrong. Ethically and morally, that's very wrong, and it bothers me because it happens a lot. We saw during the shutdown quite a few reps, in fact, lost their jobs and aren't going to get it back again, their contract, I should say. And it's very sad, especially when they put so much effort into it. Another ugly, we get equipment damaged all the time. People will come in and poke tweeters and, just carry something without any permission to do so and damage the equipment. Theft, we get stuff stolen all the time, CDs, remote controls.
They're like socks. They just, you don't know what happens to them. They disappear.
Yeah. And then finally, for me, at this stage of my life, a little bit of balance is ugly. In other words, because we spend so much time in the store, I'm starting to realize that I don't have as much balance in my life as I would like to. Looking back, like for example, my three girls, I wasn't as with them as much as, again, I would like to have been. Thank God my wife was there, but it's a
isn't like your youngest almost like fully 19, grown up?
First year,
yeah,
first year in university. So those are some of the uglies for me. But otherwise, overall, I on balance think that this is a great industry, and I'm so glad to be in it.
We should invite some distributors and do their version, because from my understanding and from what I've heard, distributors have it way worse.
Yeah, possibly. We all only know the world we inhabit. So anyway, this has been long enough, so I'm going to sign off. Again, before I sign off, first of all, thank you very much for watching. We are posting, I don't think it's gone up yet, but we're posting a video where I went into some details about our fundraising efforts. So please watch that, and because that will tell you how you're helping us raise funds for the Salvation Army. And thanks to you, we're doing that. And the way you're helping is by watching, by subscribing, turning on the notification, and liking the video. Apparently, that's another thing I forget. Please like the video, even if you don't. Just like it. It'll help us help the Salvation Army. And if you have any comments, questions, and so on, just note them down or send us an email. We'll try and help as much as we can. And again, thanks for watching. I'm Adrian, Philip, and Jay. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.